Baby.
How you doing, buddy?
What's your name?
Okay. Sean.
I have new socks.
Did
You just
you
wake up.
finish? Did you finish your yard sale?
I got rained out.
Oh, you did?
Read my lips. I got rained out.
Okay.
Yeah, last month or so, I was watching that TV show about the gal who couldn't hear. She was deaf, but she could read lips, and she got hired by the FBI.
Right.
Well, there was a scene in there in which some of her crew members were talking about the old cartoon Dudley Do Right, and she could read lips, so she got along pretty well with everybody. Could keep up with the conversation. And she said, "Oh, I watched that cartoon once, but I couldn't read their lips because it was a cartoon." Get it?
Yeah.
I mean, I just smiled at that because to throw that into the script shows that the writers of that script that were at least familiar with you know all of the ins and outs of being deaf.
Yeah. I remember that Dudley Do Right thing when I was a kid.
Read my lips. What did I just say?
Uh.
See, you couldn't read my lips, right? Haha. Now I got one on you.
Yeah. So, how's the weather down there now? Is it starting to get a little bit better? Or?
Well, let's see. The sun is shining, but there's a little bit of frost on the ground.
Yeah.
So that means it's 30 degrees, 37. You know, it's
Yeah.
uh, it's not summertime yet, but soon we can complain that it's just too hot. Aren't you
Yeah.
looking forward to those days of complaining?
Absolutely. Hey,
Oh
Ace.
man,
I was gonna say I figured out why you guys have a little like I was always wondering how come you guys are cooler than we are?
that's because we have muscles and you don't.
Yeah. And and I was just thinking about it. You guys are actually or I don't know if you're below sea level, but you're I think much lower, so that makes sense that you guys would have colder temperatures, I think.
Hmm.
Because we're more in a basin area, so we're kind of like I wouldn't call it high desert, but we're a little bit. I think a little bit elevation wise, a little bit higher, maybe.
Yeah. Hey, how you like the headline? The title of today's show.
What was the headline again? Grace doesn't match.
Okay, let me call it out for you and put it up under your eyes. There you
uh,
go. Can you see it now?
Grace doesn't match sin. Grace overwhelms it. Someone, someone get the memo to Jill and the Christians. Yeah, I was thinking a lot yesterday. That was God, man. That thing seemed like it went on forever yesterday with him.
Yeah, Ace never lets me talk. Really? I'm so awful.
Oh my gosh.
Ace is a coward. He never lets me talk.
He's probably actually had more hours with you than probably, I don't know, maybe more than JG. I thought that was funny that JG came in yesterday. Yeah, the two of those guys in there. Oh my god.
Okay, it's 4 minutes past the top of the hour, 8:04 here in the Salt Lake Valley. Tell me, Sean, can you recount what Jill said yesterday? Anything at all? Can you tell us any highlights, any good news, anything you disagree with? Can you recount anything at all that Jill said, or was he just a blabbering, flapping lips in the wind?
No, he was a blathering, flapping lips in the wind. From my vantage point. That's just my opinion. But God has his contrasts, that's for sure.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. You know that song?
But I'm glad, Ace, I'm glad that you're not that you're I mean, I missed when you were out for the couple of weeks and stuff, so I'm glad that you're trying to stay within the confines of the copyright stuff.
Yeah.
It's nice to have the show back. It's still raining out there.
John. John.
Hang on. I'm going to turn this off. It's echoing. There
Let
we
me
go.
turn this off too.
Whatever.
Hang on, I gotta turn something off. Okay, let me turn this off. Okay, now let me turn this off.
Whatever, Ace.
Oh, no, you're interrupting me. I'm trying to turn things. Can't focus. I'm gonna turn this off. Hey,
Okay, Ace.
oh, back in the 80s when
Yeah.
when VCRs were kind of new, you know.
Yeah.
I went over to my neighbor's house to watch some movie with them, right? It was
Uh-huh.
three single guys who lived there, you know. And one of the guys, his name was Wiltsey. I forgot. I don't remember his last name, but we called him Wiltsey. And
Yeah.
he was an electrician. And he was real handsome, you know,
Yeah.
and kind of full of himself. But
Yeah.
and you would think that being an electrician would would be an indicator that you're really smart. But he was dumb as a box of rocks about anything, you know, outside of not shocking himself when replacing a wall socket or something.
Yeah.
But I remember real clearly, we're sitting there watching this movie, and they had just gotten this VCR thingamajig, you know, and they didn't know how to set it correctly, and so there was always two lights blinking, right?
Yeah.
Right on top of the television set, these two lights were blinking, and it drove him crazy. He couldn't even watch the movie for having to look at those
Right.
blinking lights. I always thought that was hilariously funny that he couldn't focus.
Right.
That's why I'm telling you, stop. Don't talk to me. I'm trying to stop. I'm trying to turn this
Yeah.
off.
Right on.
So he had to finally get up and put a piece of tape over those two blinking lights.
That's cute.
Focus. I can't focus. You got those blinking lights. Focus. This is a really great movie. I can't focus. Those two blinking lights.
Yeah.
That boy wasn't wrapped tight, even if he was an electrician. Oh, shall we go over the essay?
Yeah.
Okay, you just hold on a second because I want to refill my coffee. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No problem.
Go ahead and sing the Wild Wild West theme song to everybody while we're waiting.
I don't. No. I don't.
Focus.
I can't. There's a light on the VCR, and it's blinking.
All right.
Go get your coffee, buddy.
Yeah, man, I will. You just hold on a second because I got to turn this thing off.
Yeah.
I'm focusing. You ever focused before?
Yeah.
It's
Sometimes, if I'm lucky. Oh yeah. Easy with the copyrights, Ace. Be careful.
Yeah, this is a 1963 song, so it's expired by now.
Okay.
That's why they're playing it, because even they can get away with it. Now, wasn't that sweet? Turn your mic back on.
It's on.
Yeah. I used to hear that song every Friday night at 7:30. Because that's when that show came on. Man, I looked forward to that show. I was all of 14 years old.
Between that and Get Smart, those were pretty cool. I like that. 99, Agent 99.
Yeah.
Barbara Feldon, I think it was.
Yeah. Okay, let's bring up the document and rock and roll. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
How's the color scheme?
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Jill's not here, so the coast is clear. We don't have to walk on eggshells. Oh, yeah. JG's not here, so we don't have to walk on eggshells. Yeah. Right on, yeah. Oh. P. Mars is not here, so we don't have to walk on eggshells. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's actually a good one there.
What is?
Oh, Foy said avocados and eggs with tea. That's actually a pretty good prescription.
Mm-hmm. You ever taken a bath in avocados and eggs and tea? Man, you haven't lived until you just fill the whole bathtub with avocados and eggs and tea. Just get in there and slip slide around, man.
Yeah.
And then pull back the curtain and there's Mexican midgets watching you. Oh my God. Nothing more that says you're alive more than a bath and avocados and eggs and tea with Mexican midgets standing around watching you like
Mexican midgets.
I'll tell you what.
Oh my God.
How am I supposed to read this with these two blinking lights of Mexican midgets looking at me?
So this one's from Sunday morning.
Yeah, I started it, but Jill came in with his crew and interrupted, so I thought I'd finish it today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 2 days rolled in one with the with what's with the great distraction of Jill's two blinking headlights. Look at me. 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 That's funny. I flat out accused Jill of wanting to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
And I turned the whole damn show over to him for 2 hours. And then he says, "No, I don't want to be the center of attention." But he never did stop being the center of attention.
Yeah. That is funny. I remember him saying that. That was kind of cute.
How dare you accuse me of the obvious? Okay, anytime you're ready.
We cannot justify Judas' actions, but God can and does. See Romans chapter 5, Judas week 2026. Sunday morning, April 12th, 2026, 7:57 a.m. 56 degrees now, 66 degrees later. Rain coming on Thursday. The other day, we read Knox's article called The God of Judas, Dear One. What a hell of a chapter in his book, The Problem of Evil. In the article, Mr. Knox devotes a sizable paragraph or two to the fact that the subject of Judas is, by and large, avoided by modern-day Christian preachers. The subject of Judas brings up too many questions for them. It makes their head explode. Question of, number 1, evil. Number 2, free will. Number 3, God's design and intention. Number 4, the puppet status of even Jesus' chosen disciples. Yes, they avoid the topic of Judas and all its accompanying implications. So in order to sweep the topic under the rug as quickly as possible, they assign Judas to hell and dust their hands of the dirty matter. After all, I know, and that's funny. That's so true. After all, the Christian religion is not about depth or truth or a realization of God. No, the Christian religion is a grift. It is all involved with taxing authorities. It has franchise fees to pay. It has an image to uphold. It has its own dress code, its own self-understood language. Example, Trinity. The Christian religion talks about money a lot, but they avoid the subject of Judas, even though Judas was all into pieces of silver just like them. So Judas does his thing, and the thing he did was not for himself alone. The thing he did, turns out, had universal implications. Romans 5, 6, and 8 through 8 and 10. Colossians 1:20 and 2 Corinthians 5:14, 18 through 21, etc. Paused to talk to JIL for several hours, and that was yesterday. Now it's Monday, April 13th, 2026, 7:58 a.m., 38 degrees now, 59 degrees later. Let's see if we can pick up where we left off, dear one. The justification of God, the justification of Judas, the justification of all humanity, and the justification of God making Judas. Question, was God justified in making Judas? Question, was God justified in making Judas to do what he did? Question, will God be justified at the end of the consummation in making every little thing, all humanity, all sinners who sin, and every knee that bows? The thing about justification is that it is not something that comes to the casual observer. You see, justification is an all things considered type of thing. On the surface, it's easy to find fault and criticize in almost any situation. And it doesn't take any real talent or brains to criticize. You just act like any 14-year-old girl and complain and criticize anything and everything that comes within your vision. But if there is water on the carpet, it's there for a reason. If God does something, he does it for a reason. And guess what? God does everything.
Amen.
So to get the point to where we can justify a person or subplot or method, it takes time and understanding. Again, justification is a all things considered type of thing. At the moment, we're all 14-year-old girls. At the moment, we all jump to conclusions, and way too often they are wrong conclusions. Romans 3:3-4 says it is very enlightening on this topic, especially if you tie Romans 3:3-4 into Romans 5:18. Romans 3:3-4 says, "For what if some disbelieve? Will not their unbelief nullify the faithfulness of God? May it not be coming to that. Now, let God be true, yet every man a liar, even as it is written, that so thou shouldest be justified in thy sayings, and thou shalt be conquering when thou art being judged." Romans 5:18. "Consequently then, as it was through one offense for all mankind, for condemnation, thus also it is through one just award for all mankind, for life's justifying." So Romans 3:4 says God will be justified when God is being judged. Ain't that something? And Romans 5:18 says God will justify all life. And since God is life, again, we will see on that day that God can and will be justified in everything. Rejoice. So JIL and his crew came over here yesterday. They had the Christianese lingo down pat. 10,000 forgettable words that moved no one but them. And I'm not even sure their own words moved them. It certainly did not move them to tears. Quite honestly, I can't tell you the major point of JIL, JG, and PMARS and their crew was trying to make. I think they were trying to say that they themselves are important. And somehow we heretics are not important. I don't get the idea that they were trying to glorify God in any way, nor were they.
And somehow we heretics are not important. In fact, we might even be disposable. Yikes! Isn't that awful? We're disposable, but not them. They're important. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. In fact, we might even be disposable. I don't get the idea they were trying to glorify God in any way, nor were they trying to justify God. It seems God was low on the totem pole of importance to them. Their message is always about man and man's responsibility to do this or that thing, and God only reacts to man's doings. According to their prattle, God is not creative, only responsive.
Isn't that weird to say that?
Yeah.
But isn't that true? According to them,
Totally.
God is responsive, but not creative. God doesn't initiate; He waits on you to do the right thing.
To see what you're going to do. Yeah. So in this,
I think I should add that sentence in.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start over there.
Hang on. Gotta let it catch up on my tablet here. According to their prattle, God is not creative, only responsive. According to them, God does not initiate. He only waits around to see what you're gonna do. So in this fine Judas week, wait a minute. So in this, am I reading this right? So in this,
in this fine Judas week.
In this fine Judas week, allow me to dare say that all is out of him, through him, and for him. Romans 11:36. Thus, God is not
reacting.
Yeah, reacting. Got to add that.
Okay, good.
Thus, God is not reacting to Judas' originating behavior. God is not reacting to Judas' originating behavior. Hell no. God caused Judas to be. Judas did not create himself, and nothing Judas did was out of himself. It was all of God. Judas was in the design and plan of God from the start to the finish. Everything Judas did was for the benefit of God and all. That's very true. After all, where would we be without a risen Savior? All things considered, Judas' actions were regrettable but totally understandable. He could not do otherwise, and in the great day, the day of God, and the consummation of the eons, Judas and God will be wonderfully justified when God, see 1 Corinthians 5.
When God, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Judas and God will be wonderfully justified when God, when God does what, Jack? When God
consumes the universe.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a universalist.
All right, try that.
And in that great day, the day of God and the consummation of the eons, Judas and God will be wonderfully justified when God illuminates and manifests.
Wow, I love that sentence.
Yep. See 1 Corinthians 4:5. 1 Corinthians 4:5 says, so that be not judging anything before the season, till the Lord should be coming, who will also illuminate the hidden things of darkness and manifest the counsels of the hearts. And then applause will be coming to each one from God.
Wow.
Oh my, in that day, the Lord will illuminate the hidden things of darkness, and surely Judas' actions fall into the category of the hidden things of darkness. And then the Lord will manifest the counsels of the hearts. And we already know that Judas had a sweet heart. After all, he was so grieved over his actions, he felt he did not deserve to live. In that day, Judas, Pontus, Herod, Caiaphas, the high priest, and all humanity will, for God's glory, receive applause from God. We have so much to look forward to, dear friend. So very much. Grace to you, Acio the reader. P.S. The justification of God is something very sweet to look forward to.
But over in the Christianese lingo, they say, oh, I want to be saved.
Yeah.
They don't want God to be glorified. They don't even think that way. No, it's all about me.
Right.
I want a golden harp and streets of gold, and I want someone to peel my grapes and feed them to me while I luxuriate on silk sheets. Yeah. I deserve it.
That was a good,
All right.
that was a good reading, Ace.
What about me? What about me? Yeah. So, in order to get to some concept of justification,
Yeah.
you have to enter into all things considered.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just run up to a car accident and make assumptions right off the bat. I mean, what the hell's going on here? Did the brakes fail? Did the stoplight not work? Was there a deer in the road? Was there a child in the road and he swerved to miss the child? I mean, jumping to conclusions, it's not terribly bright.
Don't they have those kind of people, like insurance people that investigate the accident and stuff? They go through all the details of it, basically.
Yeah, you could go work for them because you're really good at investigating details.
No, I'm not, Ace.
Yeah. Imagine
No.
making like $5,000 a week being a private investigator.
A private investigator.
Yeah.
I used to think, like, when I was younger, I thought that would be kind of a cool job. I think because of Magnum PI, I used to watch, like, little shows like that and stuff. It's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the hell that's about.
Sean Eagle PI,
Like
private investigator.
All
All right, sir. Did you step on the gas or the brake? I could ask that. Yeah. Sir, did you swerve to miss a deer or a child?
right.
Sir, were you drinking? Sir, look at me. Look at me, sir. La da 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 da.
Da,
La
da,
da 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 da.
da. That is a cool tune. I loved it when you used to put up the real Don Steele at KHJ.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was a little kid because I used to listen to that one because I think my mom had that on the radio in her VW VW Bug, and I used to hear that in the morning when I would go to school or whatnot. Kind of a cool channel.
Did you ever show up at school late and your mom had to write an excuse note?
Yeah, I probably did. Yeah. I was kind of in love with my I think she was my kindergarten teacher because I used to watch the Brady Bunch when I was a little kid, and I remember she kind of looked like Florence Henderson a little bit. There was just something about her. Yeah, isn't that weird? I don't know what the hell I thought that was so thrilling about Florence Henderson, but I think my teacher, she reminded me of her, so I kind of liked her. I thought maybe this lady is Florence Henderson. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And they used to make us sing the song. What was it? It was Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Do you remember that song? Yeah, they used to. The whole school had to sing that because it was K. Yeah, it was K0, which kindergarten, all the way through K12. So it was like the whole school.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
windows were rocking, huh?
It was funny. Yeah, we had to do that, Ace. Isn't that crazy? Joy to the World. That was the name of the song.
Wow.
Yeah.
When I was in school, we had to sing I'm a Little Teapot, Short and Stout.
Really?
Yeah. But it wasn't the whole school all at once singing it. No, we had to get up there individually and sing it. And man, it was like time to go home by the time the whole school had finished,
Yeah.
One kid after another getting up there saying, I'm a little teapot, short and stuff. After 6 kids, man, we're all ready to, we're done with this.
Well, that's kind of like when Jill comes in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there we go.
We're kind of done with this. Can we move on now? Is there something else we can? Because I notice how you would say, yeah, there's nothing here. Let's move along, because they maybe don't dig a little deeper maybe or whatnot. But I was thinking, it's kind of the same thing when they come in after a couple of hours of the Jill and JG show. It's kind of like, can we move on now?
Maybe next time Jill and JG comes over, we can say, okay, you can talk, but first you must sing to us, I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
Hey, that would be funny. Oh my gosh.
Okay, Jill, we'll give you the floor, but first you must sing, I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my spout.
Oh, that is cute. So what does Bacon and Bush say? God can justify Judas' actions because he knew what he would do as soon as he created the world. Judas was the victim, or Judas was a bad guy, and God didn't know or have power over the actions.
Let's see, Dick. Clip the whole thing. Oh, his next comment it follows.
It's hard to be a logical theist. God knows I tried to do it for decades.
Oh, Bacon, you want to come in and read the essay for us? as we explore these great topics. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, hear me shout, tip me over and pour me out. Because Jill gets steamed up, you know. Welcome, boys and girls. Let's see. Bacon and Specialist 444 and Foy. And let me scroll backwards and see who has stopped by for a moment or two. Passing through. Nice to hang out with you. Joan H, go ahead.
I wish Floyd would come in. I always like it when he reads. He's a good reader.
Okay, that's a public invitation. Foy, hop in.
Yeah, I don't know if he can. I don't know what he's
Brother
doing.
Vet.
Always enjoy him.
Deborah. Oh, Deborah, is your essay on Judas ready? Chris Gogetti. That's far enough. Let's get back to work here. So, let's see. Foy, are you coming in? Click 1 if you're coming in, so I'll know to wait for you. Because it takes a while to click through, you know. A lot of. Do you ever have to put a Band-Aid on your finger because you're online so much?
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he said he's going to come in.
Okay. So,
cool.
Yeah, just between you and me and the gate post, Sean.
Yeah.
Do you click on so many things that you end up putting a Band-Aid on your finger?
That's funny.
Because they're going to start selling computers with a nurse with like 1,000 Band-Aids, you know, because people are, especially those TikTok people, you know. Oh my God, they need a lot of Band-Aids on
I know. I can't wait. I hope, well, can I say this? I hope maybe God grants you the ability to put your channel up on TikTok because I think it'd be sweet. That'd be fun to simulcast that channel on there because there's some people that are, you know, they're starting to see some things. Let's put it that way.
Hey, listen, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Do you ever wake up in the morning and say to yourself, man, I need some AI generated content? Yeah, that's what I need. I need some AI generated content.
No, it's getting crazy. It's hard to tell anymore nowadays. They're starting to AI the planet. Seems like. You know, it's funny when I think back, Ace. It's weird because I look back and I go, I remember when we had none of this and we did fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never thought that. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, it's good because we, on one end, we were able to, you know, share scripture and stuff like that. But some of that stuff out there is just a waste to me.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, Hear me shout, tip me over and pour me out. This is interesting. 444 says, in the context of AI content, if it were possible, even the very elect should be deceived.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just because AI content is becoming cheap and convenient, so anybody can use it to create shit, it's going to change the dynamics of the world, and I don't know exactly how, but compare it to photography in the 1950s and 60s and 70s, right? If you took a picture of something, that was going to be an investment of money and time and energy because cameras were not digital. You had to have film, got to buy the film, load it up, take a picture, and then take the picture over to the developing studio, right? And then pay them.
Hello.
Hey, Foy. But nowadays,
Can you hear
Sean,
me?
since everybody has got a camera on their phone, they're taking the stupidest pictures. Pictures of spaghetti plates, and
Yeah.
because there's no investment of thought or time to take these pictures anymore. Oh, look at my plate of spaghetti. And so maybe we could use that as a model to say,
Can you hear me?
yes, can hear you. Yeah. So as a model, we could say that now content is easy to produce. And so we're not, I'm not interested in pictures of plates of spaghetti. And so
Yeah.
maybe the same reaction will come about in that people are not interested in content because it has become cheap and easy and there's no investment of time or money or thought or creativity. No, you just turn it on, the AI creates it, and we all know it's something hollow. It's as hollow as a plate of spaghetti on a picture.
Yeah.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle. Here is my spout. Man, that song that really gets down to the real truth of the matter, right?
Yeah.
I know. We should all be singing that song. First thing when we wake up in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever woken up at 3 a.m. and sing?
No. No.
No.
No. I'm turning my phone off too. Because I don't. Ace. Actually, I did sleep good last night. I must have been really tired.
Were you thinking of teapots?
Something. Yeah.
Uncle Foy, welcome.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Brilliant.
Yes. You want to hear a brilliant song?
Go right ahead.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle. Here is my spout. Isn't that brilliant?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I love brilliance.
How have you guys been anyway?
Well,
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, likewise.
we've been pressing on the upward way. He is able to keep that which he has guarded. No, he is able to keep that which he has committed unto us unto that day. What a verse that is, huh?
Amen.
You want to read for us?
Yeah, love to.
Rock on. This was not created by an AI unless I am AI. So
How can we be sure?
how can we be sure? All I know is that I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
We cannot justify Judas's actions, but God can and does.
Isn't that a hell of a comment?
See Romans chapter 5, Judas Week 2026. Sunday morning, April 12th, 2026. 7:57 a.m. 56 degrees now, 66 degrees later. Rain coming on Thursday. The other day, we read Knox's article called The God of Judas, Dear One. What a hell of a chapter. In his book, The Problem of Evil. In the article, Mr. Knox devotes a sizable paragraph or two to the fact that the subject of Judas is, by and large, avoided by modern-day Christian preachers. The subject of Judas brings up too many questions for them. It makes their head explode. Questions of: number 1, evil. Number 2, free will. Number 3, God's design and intention. Number 4, the puppet status of even Jesus' chosen disciples. Yes, they avoid the topic of Judas and all its accompanying implications. So, in order to sweep the topic under the rug as quickly as possible, they assign Judas to hell and dust their hands of the dirty matter. After all, the Christian religion is not about depth or truth or a realization of God. No, the Christian religion is a grift. It is all involved with the taxing authorities. It has franchise fees to pay. It has an image to uphold. It has its own dress code, its own self-understood language. Example, Trinity. The Christian religion talks about money a lot, but they avoid the subject of Judas, even though Judas was all into pieces of silver, just like them. So Judas does his thing, and the thing he did was not for himself alone. The thing he did, turns out, had universal implications. Romans 5, 6 and 8 and 10, Colossians 1:20, 2 Corinthians 5:14, 18 through 21, etc. Paused to talk to JIL for several hours. And that was yesterday. Now it's Monday, April 13th, 2026. 7:58 a.m., 38 degrees now, 59 degrees later. Let's see if we can pick up where we left off, dear one. The justification of God, the justification of Judas, the justification of all humanity, and the justification of God making Judas. Question: was God justified in making Judas? Question: was God justified in making Judas do what he did? Question: will God be justified at the consummation in making every little thing, all humanity, all sinners who sin, and every knee that bows? The thing about justification is that it's not something that comes to the casual observer. You see, justification is an all things considered type of thing. On the surface, it's easy to find fault and criticize in almost any situation. And it doesn't take any real talent or brains to criticize. You just act like any 14-year-old girl and complain and criticize anything and everything that comes within your vision. But if there is water on the carpet, it's there for a reason. And if God does something, he does it for a reason. And guess what? God does everything.
Sweet.
Amen. So, to get to the point to where we can justify a person or a subplot or a method, it takes time and understanding. Again, justification is an all things considered type of thing. At the moment, we're all 14-year-old girls. At the moment, we all jump to conclusions, and way too often, they are the wrong conclusions. Romans 3 through 4, Romans 3 through 4 is very enlightening on this topic, especially if you tie Romans 3 verse 3 and 4 into Romans 5:18. For what if some disbelieve? Will not their unbelief nullify the faithfulness of God? May it not be coming to that. Now let God be true, yet every man a liar, even as it is written, that so thou shouldest be justified in thy sayings, and shalt be conquering when thou art being judged. Romans 5:18. Consequently then, as it was through one offence for all mankind for condemnation, thus also it is through one just award for all mankind for life's justifying. So Romans 3:4 says God will be justified when God is being judged. Ain't that something? And Romans 5:18 says God will justify all of life. And since God is life, again, we will see on that day that God can and will be justified in everything. Rejoice. So Jill and his crew came over here yesterday. They had the Christianese lingo down pat. 10,000 forgettable words that moved no one but them. And I'm not even sure their own words moved them. It certainly did not move them to tears, quite honestly. I can't tell you the major point Jill, JG, P. Mars and their crew was trying to make. I think that they were trying to say that they themselves are important, and somehow we heretics are not important. In fact, we might even be disposable. I don't get the idea that they were trying to glorify God in any way, nor that were they trying to justify God. It seems God was low on the totem pole of importance to them. Their message is always about man, and man's responsibility to do this or that thing. And God only reacts to man's doings. According to their prattle, God is not creative, only responsive. According to them, God does not initiate. He only waits around to see what you are going to do. So in this fine Judas week, allow me to dare say, that all is out of him, through him, and for him. Romans 11:36. Thus, God is not reacting to Judas' originating behavior. Hell no, God caused Judas to be. Judas did not create himself, and nothing Judas did was of himself. It was all of God. Judas was in the design and plan of God from the start to the finish. Everything Judas did was for the benefit of God and all. After all, where would we be without a risen Saviour? All things considered, Judas's actions were regrettable, but totally understandable. He could not do otherwise. And in that great day, the day of God and the consummation of the eons, Judas and God will be wonderfully justified when God illuminates and manifests. See 1 Corinthians 4:5. So that be not judging anything before the season, till the Lord should be coming, who will also illuminate the hidden things of darkness and manifest the counsels of the hearts. And then applause will be coming to each one from God. Oh my, in that day, the Lord will illuminate the hidden things of darkness. And surely Judas's actions fall into the category of the hidden things of darkness. And then the Lord will manifest the counsel of the hearts. And we already know that Judas had a sweetheart. After all, he was so grieved over his actions, he felt he did not deserve to live. And in that day, Judas, Pontius, Herod, Caiaphas, the high priest, all of humanity will, for God's glory, receive applause from God. We have so much to look forward to, dear friend, so very much. Grace to you, Ace Theo, the reader. P.S. The justification of God is something very sweet to look forward to. Isn't it just? Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to put in there, I don't think Jill and JG even brought themselves to tears, but they were almost bringing me to tears.
Yeah, several hours of listening to Jill. Good grief.
Do you remember anything he said? Come on, give me a highlight. What did Jill say?
I wasn't watching the show, unfortunately. Or
Yeah, but
maybe
you've heard him
40.
before. Tell me anything he's ever said that is memorable.
Not really. I don't know. I remain. The stuff that sticks with me is him talking about politics and bitching about the View.
One reason what he says is forgettable is because in the very same conversation, he will contradict himself. Like saying man has no free will, but if a fella goes to hell, he can only blame himself.
The old bait and switch.
Yeah. One day, God will illuminate the counsels of the heart. It's going to be a great day.
Yeah. The day of judgment's going to be as much God being judged as it is man, isn't it?
Yeah. And I love what Brother Knox said. We want more of the judgments of God, not less. But in Christianese, they want less of God's judgment because they can improve themselves, so God doesn't have to judge them.
Pull up your bootstraps.
Look at my resume. I stopped sinning 7 days ago. I'm worth it.
Watch me show you my faith with all my wondrous works.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it when preterists came over and said, whoever goes to hell deserves it.
Yeah, it really is. God's ends justify the means, really, don't they? Which runs counter to the wisdom of the age, really, when you think about it, because we've always been told that the ends can't justify the means.
God did not get that memo, I guess.
No.
It was a spam call.
Delightful.
How odd. How shocking.
So have you been in YouTube jail? Copyrighted content, was it?
Yep.
I suppose it doesn't matter when you're under 1,000 subs. And like the moment that it switches over. Is that the rule?
No. The rule is they have to, it has to be their original work and copyrighted. But the band I played, typically I play songs that are covers. and you can't copyright a cover.
No.
And this band, this Japanese jazz band, they were up on the stage, so it looked to me like they were playing covers. I didn't know any of the songs, but apparently it was all original, so they had already copyrighted it. And I got busted.
Yeah, usually get away with live performances a little bit more than studio albums, don't you? From what I understand.
Yeah, this was a live performance that they copyrighted, so I got blindsided.
I mean, you'd think they'd just take the ad money for the stream, wouldn't you? And just, I mean, because you're not going to make any significant money from live streams, are you? So
No. So what did you do during my downtime?
I've just been working a lot, to be honest. Easter's a busy period in my line of work, so.
What do you guys sell? Chocolate rabbits or something?
Yeah, it's just non-stop eggs.
You ever bit the head off of a chocolate rabbit?
No, I remember winning an art competition at school and getting a chocolate rabbit. And
Really?
On my way home with it breaking it, I was absolutely gutted.
Hey, Sean, have you ever bitten the head off of a chocolate rabbit?
Oh yeah.
Alice Cooper did up on stage, man. He just freaked everybody out.
A chocolate rabbit.
I saw a picture of him the other day. It was kind of funny. He had a snake thing or whatever. I don't remember. He used to do a lot of weird shit on stage. Kind of interesting character. Yeah, I remember those chocolate rabbits.
I know. They had feelings too, you know.
How's your weather over there, Foy? Nice? Or?
Yeah, it's getting there. It is slowly but surely getting a little bit warmer. We had a day last week on Wednesday when, I mean, it's back down to the high 50s now, but
Yeah.
Last week on Wednesday, it was it was pushing 80 degrees, which was lovely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at 81 degrees, everybody around London runs around naked, right?
Yeah. We have the heat that we have in this country, though, has high humidity. So when 80 degrees might not seem much, but if we get up into the 90s and hundreds, it's like rainforest type thing. And we don't all of our buildings are highly insulated with no air conditioning. So
Oh, wow.
when you hear us gripe about the weather, that's the reason.
Oh, yeah.
90 degrees with high humidity means you got to take 2 or 3 showers a day.
Yeah.
Good morning, Donna. One of the great revelations, Donna, that we've come to today is that I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle. Here is my spout. God.
They really had you up one at a time to sing that.
What?
At school, they really had you up one at a time to sing that. It's like a humiliation ritual.
lot of kids quit school the day after that, you know, and they had to go see their therapist.
It was before Prozac.
Yeah, that's right. The way you pronounced it, it sounded like praise act instead of Prozac.
Yeah, Prozac.
Who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was kicked off of YouTube for 2 weeks? Because JIL came over and definitely yesterday he said it was God teaching me a lesson not to do Judas week. Isn't JIL so unassuming?
Did he really say that?
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
When is Passover?
Got me. Is it important to you?
No. Just thinking of the two calendars, you know. If it was like, if this delay would have put you in line with the Jewish, that would have been quite fitting. That's all I was thinking.
That's funny.
444 said Passover was on the 1st, so oh well.
444, can you come in and give us an update on the Tartaria thing? Because you made a nice comment how Tartaria has fallen. So I was going to ask you, what do you think caused it to fall, and so forth and so on.
What is Tartaria?
Well, according to a culture out there that pays attention to this stuff, it was the ancient world.
Pre-flood.
Yeah, pre some kind of flood. And so they kind of say, I mean, their language is all vague still, that Tartaria existed 400 years ago or so, and then some outfit came along and rewrote all the maps and changed all the Tartarian lingo and denied their rulers, or whatever the hell they had, and took over. So there was, and according to their plot line, a lot, like when they came to settle America, there was already buildings, intricate buildings sitting here empty. And they just occupied them. They didn't start from scratch. They inherited them. Like there is evidence that San Francisco was quite built up before San Franciscans ever got there. And I have seen old maps from like 500-600 years ago that on the map, it had Santa Barbara and San Francisco listed right there. From 500, like I thought Santa Barbara was kind of a new thing. Welcome 444.
Howdy, guys. Excuse me. Howdy. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you give us a thumbnail overview of this Tartaria business?
Well, I only brought it up because I've just found certain family artifacts that like my grandma has like this really old globe that like over North America and pretty much most of like Asia. So like what we see is like Russia, China, was all like in blue on this little globe model. Saying it was Tartaria. Literally said like Tartaria.
It said Tartaria on it on the globe.
At least over in the Asia part of it, I think Tartaria might have been a like a territory of this empire, but there was some sort of empire that was here prior to the like 1776. That I think, from what at least I've gathered from all the just not having like a biased opinion or a expectation. I just wanted to look into what seems to be the most likely cause. It looks like that there's just a number of different people who had a certain way they wanted to shape the world and have a certain view of it, which I've also found it just kind of like lines up with scripture, like when it talks about in Revelation 17, verse 17, about how like God puts it in their hearts to give their kingdoms unto the beast.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Oh my God, I'm glad you throw that scripture up every once in a while.
Yeah, because then it shows you that like God's literally orchestrating the good and the bad, like 100%.
Just in case you don't know, boys and girls, Revelation 17:17 says that God gave it to the kings of the world to give their kingdoms over to the wild beast. It wasn't even their idea. It was God who put it in their hearts to turn their kingdoms over to the wild beast. It's a hell of a verse, and it's a total dismantling of the notion of free will.
So I do believe that there was probably a time period, between when, Christ was here and then after the destruction of the temple, that there were probably periods of time where they had some very, prosperous nations or nation states or federations of nations who, however it, plays out. It seems like they've gone through a lot of lengths to try and hide whatever was prior.
Yeah.
And have put enormous amount of resources into their constructed and architected narrative that we were all force fed.
Yeah. So, specialist on this channel, whenever I get into a role about talking about time, and how God is the author of time, and time actually comes out of the future.
Yep.
But in the popular concept of time, somehow they can't explain it, but they talk as if they believe time comes out of the past. And so I end up my time talk by saying, what the hell do we know about the past? It's sketchy, but we know more about the future because the future is our future. And the future is God.
Because that does go with the like Old Testament scripture that talks about like, the generation past doesn't remember anything about the generation past, nor will the generation preceding that generation remember anything about that generation. But it doesn't say anything about the future, though. It's just saying like, oh, you're not going to remember the past, like, because everybody, I guess, is all focused on the future.
Yeah.
Well, in recent history, we've seen the power of narratives over major events, and how a lot of the time it hasn't lined up with people's lived experiences, but you move on, don't you?
Well, yeah, and that in that way, that is kind of like a way of like spell crafting or sorcery that I would say is like, not necessarily false prophecy, but sometimes people, see that they could construct a narrative to shift people in a certain viewpoint that could make them more susceptible to buying some of their products or something like that.
uh, specialist, where have you gotten the most information about Tartaria?
I've heard a lot of different things from a lot of different people's opinions, or there's a number of different like sources. People have looked in old maps. Um, I def- I mean, there is still some living, I guess, culture of it over in Russia today, but um, and there's some people over there that know more about it, but it kind of seems like most of the you know um, important information, like what was it, just a portion of a greater empire, and what was that greater empire, how did it function, uh, why did they have all this like infrastructure for like airships and zeppelins and blimps and stuff, these like massive hangars that then they said were like you know train stations, but some of them that look like they just like tried to convert them over, and then they have like these fire narratives where they then just like were destroyed, and like it's just really strange where it seems like, and because I can still, because of me living in Portland, dude, they did such a terrible job with like putting up so many like thin layers of roads of asphalt over the massive rail system that used to be here. I mean, there used to be like an electric rail cart, train system or trolley system that went out. Even I can see it on some of these like country roads, that were like trolley trains that went out into the coastal farm areas, and it would be like that would make sense, if you just like if in a, I guess, like ideal, like farming community and culture, you would have like make a public asset that would be like run on electricity, that you could have some sort of utility functioning to power that, so then people wouldn't have to drive or roads into town. They could all just take the trolley.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. There's just like a lot of things how you can tell that there were at some point in time abilities where we were able to do things what would seem like more common sense way of doing things.
Yeah, one of the most intriguing arguments I heard was over on John Levi's channel, and he said, "Look at this, boys and girls. The capital of Texas, Austin, Texas, has a huge Capitol building, and they built it during the horse and buggy days. How do you do that? With dirt roads everywhere. It must have been built before the cowboys ever got there."
Oh yeah, especially when some of those columns are like um, a like a perfect symbiosis of like quartz and metal, so that it's like a stone while also being like a conductive pillar. There's a lot of really intricate designing that goes into this, and
There's been a lot of lost knowledge when it comes to architecture, hasn't there?
Yeah, exactly. It seems like a lot of things used to just be like, they would build it into the architecture to make something naturally resonate with what we would call static electricity, or
Well, they use like the golden ratio and all that, in the angles, don't they? And classic works, and then in the modern age, every building that they built after this, after the 19th century, is like all grim and authoritarian, boxy.
Yeah, more like cages. Whereas like all the other buildings were like purpose built, like pretty much public utilities.
Just across the road, there's a court near where I live, and it's it looks like something off a dystopian, sci-fi show, like this really square bunker type construction. It's
Well, and there's some of them where, like, those hallways are so tall, like they were designed, for people who were like 12 feet and above, in mind.
yeah, who knows?
That's right.
I know the Smithsonian knows.
Yeah, I've got to the point where I'd say, what do we know about history?
What we're told.
Yeah, we know just enough. But yeah, that globe and some of the books and certain things on my mom's side of the family. Well, there's some stuff on my dad's side of the family, because on my dad's side, we're like somewhere kind of related to Nikola Tesla, and then like on my mom's side, they got like a lot of Native Americans and just a lot of really cool, interesting history stuff that I guess isn't like super popular, or maybe some of the people in the family just like forgotten about it. Because yeah, it's just really interesting that they have some of these like books and artifacts that have little nuggets of things there, times past. It's interesting. It's like one thing if you hear it on the internet or from somebody else, but when like you see it sitting on somebody's on your grandma's shelf, and then you're like looking at this and Tartaria, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I first stumbled into the conversation, at the time it was, look at all these mud flood windows all over the world.
Yeah, it definitely looks like there was some
Why
sort
in the
of
hell would
soil
they put a
liquefaction.
window right out to on the third floor down, going out to the dirt?
Yeah, exactly. There's definitely a lot of buried buildings with similar architecture.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened. That's my guess is whatever happened. The people that are currently our would-be kings, at this present world, took that opportunity afterwards to consolidate power.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems America was a very useful tool in like their industrial and military part of that.
Mm-hmm. So you were in the military. After you got out of the military, did you ever read General Butler's book, War is a Racket?
I don't think I've read it. I remember actually one of my staff sergeants, I think, recommended it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is big business.
Yeah, in the book, General Butler said that while he was the top general of the Marines way back in 1910s and 20s, the government had him going down to Latin America to beat up the people who owned all the banana plantations, so that Chiquita could come in and own them, and Dole Pineapple could come in and own them. So, and then, but the thing was, he said, during those years, all you can do and think is just to follow orders, right? He said it wasn't until after he got out of the military, retired, that he could think and put two and two together, and then he realized war is a racket. But in the middle of it, you don't know what the hell's going on.
That's a chain of command, isn't it?
Yep. But in a way, that is kind of, I guess, what we touch on, with the scripture there. I mean, God kind of does a similar thing with the chain of command there. I mean, you can see it even with, for like I think that's in Second Chronicles, where it talks about that council of spirits, and he's like, "Who's going to go out and be a lying spirit for me in the mouth of Ahab's prophets?" And, one of them said, "I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth of his prophets." So it's just like, it's just interesting to think about all that stuff. Like, there could be, everybody talks, well, that guy is like a demon. Well, it's like, well, like Kenneth Copeland. Like, but what if like the demon or spirit or whatever that the guy plays as was is ultimately sent from God? But it just makes me kind of think it's kind of funny,
And did the false prophet know that the spirit was lying? You know what I mean? It's did God give him the discernment?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, who knows? It's just like a thing between them and God. I mean, that's where it ultimately comes down to, if he's going to be all in all, then nobody needs to teach anybody. Like I said, nobody will need to tell anybody to know the Lord. He's coming down for a one-on-one with everybody, and he's got a date set for everyone, and
that's right.
It's eventually going to happen.
So at the great white throne, at the great white throne, everybody will individually have to sing, "I'm a little teapot, short and stout." It's gonna be a long judgment period.
Oof, that's rough. Just chuck me straight in the lake of fire. Let's get out of the way.
How long do we have you, specialist?
I think I'm pretty good for right now.
Okay, because I want to make sure you can read the essay for us before you split.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could do that.
So in listening to these mudblood Tartaria people, what the hell do we know about history, right?
Yeah.
Some of them seem to suggest that this mud flood was probably Noah's flood, which happened more recently than what we were taught. We were taught that it happened, 5,000 years ago?
Yeah.
And these guys suggest maybe this was Noah's flood, all this mud flood business. Or maybe there was more floods than we know about.
Yeah. Could be a possibility.
Would be relatively. You'd imagine it could be simple to abridge history, couldn't you? Like you could lose like 500 years and just condense it down.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, if you were having wars or settlers and things like that.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to tell unless somebody who was there to witness it and testify to what exactly happened.
And when you think of everybody having literacy and education, it's only a relatively new thing. it would have been easy to, with the learned people having a monopoly on those things, it would be easy to just say, actually, it's this date now. And, the masses wouldn't know the difference, would they?
Yeah. Well, and it does seem like like time is speeding up. I don't know if that's part of like that, part of that scripture that says like, and in those days, like unless those days be shortened, that no one should be saved. I don't know if that's a phenomenon.
God's going to make a swift end to it in righteousness.
Yeah. So.
Okay, can you see the screen there?
Yes.
Take it away.
Cannot justify Judas' actions, but God can and does. See Romans chapter 5, Judas Week 2026.
That is such a true statement that we cannot justify Judas' actions, which is why none of the evangelical preachers will even touch the subject. Because what the hell do we know? Why did he do it? What's going on here? Even though the Word of God is jam-packed full of hints as to what's going on.
Yep. Yeah, we can't justify anybody's actions,
All we can do is look and marvel like, dude, why'd you do that?
Not just that, though, but from God's perspective, if he hadn't have done that, Christ would have established his kingdom. And then, however much history is between then and now, all that misery wouldn't have occurred, would it?
Mm-hmm.
Presumably. So it's going to need God to justify himself, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole problem of evil thing.
Alrighty. So Sunday morning, April 12th, 2026, 7:57 a.m. 56 now, 66 later. Rain coming on Thursday. The other day, we read Knox's article called "The God of Judas." Dear one, what a hell of a chapter in his book, The Problem of Evil. In the article, Mr. Knox devotes a sizable paragraph or two to the fact that the subject of Judas is, by and large, avoided by modern-day Christian preachers. The subject of Judas brings up too many questions for them. It makes their head explode. Questions of 1. Evil, 2. Free will, 3. God's design and intention, 4. The puppet status of even Jesus' chosen disciples. Yes. Yes, they avoid the topic of Judas and all its accompanying implications. So, in order to sweep the topic under the rug as quickly as possible, they assign Judas to hell and dust their hands of the dirty matter. After all, the Christian religion is not about depth or truth or a realization of God. No, the Christian religion is a grift. It is all involved with the taxing authorities. It has franchise fees to pay. It has an image to uphold. It has its own dress code, its own self-understood language, example, Trinity. The Christian religion talks about money a lot, but they avoid the subject of Judas. even though Judas was all into pieces of silver just like them. So Judas does his thing.
Isn't that a funny accusation?
Yeah.
They avoid the subject of Judas, even though he was, a grifter, a money man, like
Yeah.
them.
And the thing he did was not for himself alone. The thing he did, turns out, had universal implications. Romans 5, 6, 8, and 10, Colossians 1, 20, 2 Corinthians 5, 14, 18 through 21, etc. Paused to talk to Jill for several hours, and that was yesterday. Now it's Monday, April 13th, 2026, 7:58 a.m., 38 now, 59 later. Man, that is a massive temperature change between
Yeah.
Let's see if we can pick up where we left off, dear one. The justification of God, the justification of Judas, the justification of all humanity, and the justification of God making Judas. Question: was God justified in making Judas? Question: was God justified in making Judas to do what he did? Will God be justified at the consummation in making every little thing, all humanity, all sinners who sin, and every knee that bows? The thing about justification is that it's not something that comes to the casual observer. You see, justification is an all things considered type of thing. On the surface, it's easy to find fault and criticize in almost any situation. And it doesn't take any real talent or brains to criticize. You just act like any 14-year-old girl and complain and criticize anything and everything that comes within your vision. But if there is water on the carpet, it's there for a reason. And if God does anything or does something, he does it for a reason. And guess what? God does everything. So to get to the point to where he can justify a person or a subplot or a method, it takes time and understanding. Again, justification is an all things considered type of thing. At the moment, we're all 14-year-old girls. At the moment, we all jump to conclusions.
Insulted. How dare you?
And way too often, they are the wrong conclusions. Romans 3, 3 through 4 is very enlightening on this topic, especially if you tie Romans 3, 3 through 4 into Romans 5, 18. Romans 3, 3 through 4. For what if some disbelieve? Will not their unbelief nullify the faithfulness of God? May it not be coming to that. Now let God be true, yet every man a liar, even as it is written, that so thou shouldest be justified in thy sayings, and and shall be conquering when thou art being judged.
So hang on. I don't believe I've made much of a big deal about this phrase. Now let God be true, yet every man a liar. Every once in a while, I hear one of those JIL type super Christians bring this little quote up, in order to accuse me of being a liar. Ben's a liar. Ace is a liar. But I think there's really a lot of beauty and depth to explore here. Maybe sometime I'll do it, because God is doing things and man doesn't understand what the hell God is doing. And God is doing things and man criticizes the thing that's being done. I would never do it that way. So let every man be a liar. It's okay. Let God be true. See where I'm going with this?
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead.
Consequently, then, as it was through one offense for all mankind for condemnation, thus also it is through one just award for all mankind for life's justifying. So Romans 3:4 says God will be justified when God is being judged. Ain't that something? And Romans 5:18 says God will justify all of life. And since God is life, again, we will see on that day that God can and will be justified in everything. Rejoice. So JIL and his crew came over here yesterday. They had the Christianese lingo down pat. 10,000 forgettable words that moved no one but them. And I'm not even sure their own words moved them. It definitely kind of seemed like it was there just a steam engine. It was just
Yeah.
from them. And we were just trying to avoid the noise of it.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly did not move them to tears. Quite honestly, I can't tell you the major point Jill, JG, Mars, and their crew was trying to make. I think they were trying to say that they themselves are important, and somehow we heretics are not important. In fact, we might even be disposable. Yeah, jeez. I don't get the idea that they were trying to glorify God in any way, nor were they trying to justify God. It seems God was low on the totem pole of importance to them. Their message is always about man and man's responsibility to do this or that thing, and God only reacts to man's doings. According to their prattle, God is not creative, only responsive. According to them, God does not initiate. He only waits around to see what you are going to do. So, in this fine Judas week, allow me to dare say that all is out of him, through him, and for him. Romans 11:36. Yes. Him making me jaded towards Asian women drivers was out of him. Because, yeah, I've been hit by 4 cars in my life, and 3 of them were Asian women drivers.
Oh my God.
One was an old gentleman with his wife, but he's an old guy and just wasn't paying attention. But the other 3, they totally saw me, and I'm skittish around when I see Asian women and they're driving and they're within my vicinity.
One day God will manifest the purpose of that.
Yeah. Thus, God is not reacting to Judas' originating behavior. Hell no, God caused Judas to be. Judas did not create himself, and nothing Judas did was of himself. It was all of God. Judas was in the design and plan of God from the start to the finish. Everything Judas did was for the benefit of God and all. After all, where would we be without a risen Savior? All things considered, Judas' actions were regrettable. Numb tongue. Regrettable, but totally understandable. He could not do otherwise, and in that great day, the day of God and the consummation of the eons, Judas and God will be wonderfully justified when God illuminates and manifests. See 1 Corinthians 4:5. So that be not judging anything before the season, till the Lord should be coming, who will also illuminate the hidden things of darkness and manifest the counsels of the hearts. And then applause will be coming to each one from God. Oh my, in that day the Lord will illuminate the hidden things of darkness, and surely Judas' actions fall into the category of the hidden things of darkness. And then the Lord will manifest the counsels of the hearts. And we already know that Judas had a sweet heart. After all, he was so grieved over his actions, he felt he did not deserve to live. And in that day, Judas, Pontus, Herod, Caiaphas, the high priest, all of humanity will, for God's glory, receive applause from God. We have so much to look forward to, dear friend. So very much. Grace to you, ACO, the reader. P.S. The justification of God is something very sweet to look forward to. Dude, sweet.
You got any feedback for me on that one?
For me,
Yeah.
I got nothing but agreements. It's truth.
Yeah. I think the summation of it is, man, this thing is bigger than anybody realized.
Oh yeah, it's huge. I remember the first time reading for First Timothy 4:10, and just sitting there all day thinking about it.
You read it and were impressed? That's not my experience. It had to be thrown in my face and I fought it. I didn't ponder it like, oh, this is something beautiful. No, I was argumentative with Paul.
It was like a relief for me.
I clung to it.
It was something like I hoped for, and then once I read it, then I was like, oh, thank God. Because it was, at least I had a lot of friends that did a lot of bad things, or some of them not necessarily bad things, but made a lot of responsible choices. Some of them are not alive to this day. So, when people would be like, "Oh, they're damned to hell" and stuff, shit like that, I'm just like, just sitting about it and thinking about it doesn't sit right with me.
No. Grace for me and not for thee is a bit. It's hard to wrap your head around, isn't it?
Yeah.
In fact, it's actually horrifying. I'm the worst person I know, and it's if I'm saved and other people aren't, it's pretty grim.
Yeah. Well, it's just interesting with that verse when it's just like, especially so like believers are just like icing on the cake. They're not even like the main dish. The whole main dish is the savior of all. Just the believers are the ones who see that he's because he gave them the gift of the sight, the hearing, the perceive, and comprehend that he is the Savior. Because that's the fact of, well, yeah, at least for me, once I realized that's it's not like just a statement that is debatable. It's like it's just stating a fact that is. They can say whatever they want, like so and so's talk about how bad hell is, but is that really actually what's happening? I don't think that's what's actually happening. Like, the worst thing that can happen is you die, and then when you're dead, you're dead. Like, he made it pretty simple, and they're like, the consequence for sin is death. So it's just like, I guess then he's being pretty nice, delaying that punishment.
When my daughter was about 4 or 5 years old, one of her schoolmates died. And so, of course, I had to have the conversation about death with her at age 4 or 5. And I said, well, it's appointed unto man once to die. And she said, once is not very many.
Yeah, exactly. I can see where you could get a little bit more resistant, or had to be more. You get a little persnickety.
You can see where I get persnickety?
No, I'm saying is if you had to die more than once and knew that you had to die more than once, I could see where that person, from that perspective, would be more persnickety, or kind of maybe self-righteous asshole.
Yeah, according to my overview of the scriptures, the vast majority will be involved in 3 deaths. They died once in a car wreck, and then they might have to go through the second death, which is the lake of fire. But there's a third death, and that would be 2 Corinthians 5:14. If one died for all died.
Yeah.
So that's worth exploring. So you've got some lamp lovers in the side chat there, boy.
I was wondering what Cade was going on about until with the Pixar comment, but yeah. It's just to help on the piano,
How long have you been playing the piano?
I picked it up over the over the lockdowns, just for something to do. But I've had a bit of tendonitis in these fingers, which has been limiting my time playing. I need quite a bit of dexterity in my job, and yeah. growing old, not much fun.
I wonder what would clear up that tendonitis.
Maybe a little bit of guitar.
Guitar.
No, for me, that's what helps. Kind of get some of the flexibility in my tendons. Since I've like broken my wrists a bunch from motorcycle accidents and bicycle.
It's a funny thing though. I'm not even sure it is tendonitis because it tends to. I mean, it moves up and down. I think it might be like fascia. I don't know if you're familiar with that, like that kind of web-like substance that sits on top of the bones, muscles, and what have you. Because sometimes it's here, sometimes it's there. It just works up and down this arm, and it's quite vexing.
Have you ever tried putting lavender oil on those areas?
No, I haven't.
Try it.
Might give it a go.
Let it absorb through the skin. Worst thing that could happen is nothing happens.
Yeah.
I just noticed for me is like lavender oil really helps with certain under the skin inflammations or things.
Well, I've been keto for a couple of years, and I've recently burned it off. Started eating fruits again.
Yeah, if I sometimes I get like, I don't know, like cancers or sores, or if they're like just torn tissue from like an old motorcycle accident, like in my back, in the shoulder blade. But sometimes I'll just do like a fast where I only drink water and eat dandelions. Because that bitter flavor or the white stuff that you see in the stem is like I guess it's like some sort of neurotoxin that's like really good at killing cancer and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. The dandelion, most of those things that they call weeds in your yard are actually all like medicinal herbs. Some of them are like painkillers, some of them are like
I hear like apricot kernels are another one that has properties like that.
Yeah, the dandelion's like super antioxidant, detoxing. It's like a detox plant. So that's why I do it when I fast. Definitely feels great afterwards. Like you just feel clean. I don't feel supercharged like I'm Superman, but the body can go away and I don't feel like I'm slowly turning, decrepit, becoming more decrepit.
I think that's the worst part about death and decay, really, isn't it? It's the knowledge that it's on its way. The thing itself.
Yeah, you're giving you're given a limited amount of film tape on your DNA of the telomeres, how many times they can split and reproduce. So it's like you're given a limited amount of fuel in the tank. You got to be as efficient with it as possible, I guess. At least that's what I see in the scripture. Kind of leads you to, wants you to live a mild and quiet life. I mean, and then he says, those that listen to me, bless them with long life.
Yeah, my life wasn't very quiet at the start. Well, of adulthood anyway. I was a bit of an idiot.
Yeah.
But now you're brilliant.
Oh yeah, now I'm the picture of wisdom. My body's a temple. It used to be a burger joint.
It was just really strange for me. Like I had a whole, you know, there's the view of the world that they taught me growing up, and then there's, you know, my gut feeling of, you know, on the back shelf of what pretty much like I, you know, thought the world could be, or what I'm perceiving it to be. And then, you know, years later, you know, that back shelf starts to grow, you know, in inventory. And then eventually the back shelf starts to supersede like what you're like being told by people. And then eventually you go on like this, you know, search for trying to figure out why this back shelf is growing. Like, what am I actually seeing and experiencing? And for me, at least, you know, once I started reading the scriptures, there was just a lot of things that became more clear, and narrow the band of search down.
Yeah. Like questions and that you've asked in prayer that get answered in ways that you didn't anticipate.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. Like, you know, something that you would think, like asking for humility.
That's a bold one. Asking for that.
Yeah. Well, that
Humble
was
me, Father.
I think that was the first thing that I asked in prayer was to teach me humility and discipline. And yeah, that's definitely been it's been a wild ride, put it lightly. Like most people would, you know, think that's like, if they knew what was going to come later, they'd be like, dude, that is like the most masochistic thing you could ask.
Yeah, I'm only laughing because I can relate to it, you know. It's the performative kind of prayers that you make at the beginning, isn't it? That like, I need
Yeah,
to ask.
but they teach you, you know, by him giving you then those lessons, but it teaches you about it, where it's just, you know, it's like, yes, I can pretty much answer any of your prayers. Now, do you know all the details and stipulations of that prayer that you make? You really want every single one of those details, like, you know, happening at that point. It's just interesting, you know, where, you know, he can make things concrete, or they are as fluid as water, and it's like both at the same time.
With me, a lot of the objections, like, because I did a stint in atheism, and a lot of the objections that I had towards Christianity have been answered. Well, pretty much all of them, actually. Like the unfairness problem of evil, things like that. Um, you know, this little group reconciles a whole lot of the problems that people have with theism in general, I think. But then you
Yeah,
get the go on.
no, but yeah, exactly. There's people have a lot of problems with theism, but the thing is, though, is like that's where it goes back to like that Revelation 17. At least I think in the King James version, it's, I don't know how it says it in the concordant. I don't.
Yeah, I can remember back when I was a little bit more mainstream Christian. It was about 2018, and I was having an argument with, a heated discussion in a beer garden um, with, I think it was either a medical technician or a nurse, and he was very much on the biological determinism side of things, and I was arguing against him on a moralistic standpoint, and it's quite funny now in retrospect that I'm, a theological determinist.
Yeah, well, it's just funny for me, like after reading it enough that I just see that it's like God's pretty much made all these different like thinking points and like perspectives and personas, and like he's planned all of this.
Oh, ridiculously so. I mean, the yeah, that like ancient view of God as being this master like watchmaker type, um, making an intricate design. It's so intricate. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like even like people stop in awe looking at creation, but when you go deeper and realize that it goes down to beyond actions, um, beyond words, beyond thoughts, it's huge.
yeah. I mean, just like the beginning level of like comprehending it is like just like
Yeah,
basic kid stuff is just like imagining something in your mind and then making it into reality. That's just like the introduction to it. But like we're talking about where God came up, or it was already a part of his being to create that thought, like, or put that thought in that person's heart. It's just interesting to think that like he doesn't even need like the aspect of it having a beginning. Like it was all was and is and will always be a part of him.
and the idea that this entity doesn't get what he wants is like
Yeah,
I can't.
it's because it's all non-eternal beings trying to comprehend a literal eternal being that has no beginning or end. Like the one true God. Like that's the way I always looked at it when I like read the scripture. I didn't ever understand. I wasn't even exposed to the Trinity thing until like 2 years into reading. Because that's when I like tried to go to like certain churches and talk to people, and then that's when I realized Christianity was like the part of the Bible where Jesus was saying like these people that say Lord, Lord, and do we not do many great works in thy name? Because I'm like, it's not the Muslims that would fall into that. They don't do anything in Jesus' name. Not the Jews don't do that. The Buddhists don't do that. Like nobody does that but the Christians. And so it doesn't mean that all Christians are going to be the ones he says, depart from me, I never knew you. But I think there is like a period of time where that might be like the case for some. But it doesn't mean that like they're not going to be redeemed eventually. Their Aeonian life is at a different, predetermined date.
Definitely. I always love the be not as the hypocrites, who make great acts out of the prayers and what have you. When you pray, go into your closet and pray in private, and God will reward you openly. And they'll then go straight into the Lord's Prayer in church, and you're like, isn't this a little bit double-minded?
Yeah, I thought it was strange, like, because for me, when I read that, like, I'm thinking, okay, so me when I'm inwardly having an inward dialogue with God, that's my prayer closet.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I first tried making like an actual closet, but if you've got like roommates in a house, you just don't want somebody like eavesdropping on you. So it's like I eventually, pretty early on, like in the first like couple of months, stopped praying
Not just that, but going down and making a big song and dance about getting onto your knees, and it's not entirely necessary, is it?
Yeah,
And it feels a bit ritualistic as well.
yeah. Well, for me, it kind of felt. I mean, it was a little nostalgic, like being like a little kid again, making like a fort in a closet or something. So there was like that childlike aspect of it where I thought, like, oh, this is. I could see this is cool, but practicality wise, like what Paul was saying, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, or so I was a child in the faith. I prayed as a child in the faith, but once I became a man, now I pray as a man. So, which is continually all the time. I'm always having an inner dialogue all the time. It doesn't seem to stop. Except sometimes if I get into REM sleep, but then if I have a dream, then it starts again.
I think people with that strong inner monologue have got a bit of an advantage. I know not everybody has that. Which
Yeah, it is kind of a double-edged sword. Like I do notice that it does make you like really quick in a lot of intuitive like giftings, but at the same time, you pretty much kind of feel like a schizo.
it's easy to dwell on.
Because I do hear like other voices and stuff. Sometimes I'm like hearing voices that I'm not sure if it's like a power or a principality. I've heard and then there's like other lower vibrational like voices. Sometimes like there was one time where I don't know if I was like in between jobs or something, and then I remember it sounded like there was like some voice that was mad at me, trying to talk through the gargling of the water pipe in like the house. It was really strange. It sounded like a dragon or a lizard of some sort. But anyway, I just thought it was really strange. I've experienced like a lot of weird like good things and weird chaotic things, and I definitely, and just from what I've read in there, it says like, there's a great cloud of witnesses, and I kind of feel it for me, some people might be like sketched out by some of the like the shadow or darker spirits, but I kind of think of them like in the big scheme of things, since God's big Father God is control over everything. I almost kind of think of like the evil spirits as like spirits in Halloween costumes, pretty much. I mean, you really break it down to like the big scheme of things, So now I kind of like laugh and chuckle at like, everything, especially the evil stuff. And some people think I'm kind of like psychotic for that. I'm just like, nah, there's a higher purpose working that, like I just chuckle because I know that there's a higher purpose working, and I'm not in control of it. He's in control. He knows what he's doing. Who am I to question God?
Yeah, just gotta relax, haven't you? At the end of the day.
Yeah, pretty much. Fill your pipe up and smoke it. Smoke it, you got them.
Yep, smoke them if you've got them. You're muted, Ace.
So special as yours is a hell of a testimony, because most of the brothers on this channel came through Christianity.
Yeah, I have noticed that my testimony has definitely been pretty eye-opening for some people. For me, it doesn't feel like it. Like, it's just how things happen for me.
Well, in order to bring you up to speed, you had 2 or 3 hours of JIL yesterday.
Yeah, I was there listening. I was listening. Yeah.
Tell me the truth. Did he say anything memorable?
Not off the top of my head. No, I can't really remember anything.
Yeah.
I just remember the sound of his voice, and I have noticed that it is starting to develop a little more of a lip, which I think is kind of comically funny of God to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's the attitude that stays with you, though, isn't it?
The what?
It's the attitude that stays with you.
The
snarkiness and.
I mean, he's not the worst. He's not the worst, like, narcissist. The way I like to call him is like God places the little narcissists. They're like, the little the tares.
But it's this like need to be right, need to get the last word in, all of that, and
well, that's what I mean. Is like he specifically places them there, and he places them under a certain kind of blindness, so that because if you could actually see and perceive the truth, they wouldn't be acting the way that they would be acting. It's just because I know that because I've been, briefly, I accept correction, but
the way he is.
Yeah, it's like I've been in his shoes before.
The way he is very relatable, and it makes me cringe.
In that mindset, like I can empathize with the mindset, but I can't sympathize with it. Because I know where the things that it needs to be corrected on. Because I remember where I got corrected on. So yeah, at least for me, I know that. But I'm sure there's other like blank slate believers that are like me. It's just I'm just the one that popped up recently. I'm sure there's going to be more people like me in the younger generation. People that grew up with parents that are like you guys. That got turned off of Christianity.
I'm very glad I didn't have the path that I've had. I'm grateful for when I hear certain people with mainstream Christian PTSD. It's pretty nasty.
So, Foy, since you live in England, here lately, I've seen 2 or 3 videos of the man on the street, asking London young people questions like, "What's the capital of China?" And they say Sydney. It doesn't look like a bright future if they are the future of the world.
I think though that you get it's not just London. They have them all over the West.
I know. The U.S. is replete with ignorance, and
I think it's striking when it's in an English accent because, like, to you guys, we can sound a little bit more, cleverer than we are. An accent can have that effect. Take my word for it, we're all pretty stupid over here. But yeah, those kind of videos are, I would suspect, heavily curated. And they prey upon the fact that having a camera and a microphone thrust in somebody's face, brain farts can ensue, can't they? It's not a fair, and it puts somebody on the spot, and a lot of people will choke and say something stupid. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's like when I go around, my mother and father like to put like things like "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire" on when I go around to visit, because I'm quite good with general knowledge and the like. But I'm always stressing to them, that if I ever went, if I did go on the show, I wouldn't do very well, because being in front of a live studio audience is going to have that effect, isn't it?
Yeah, that in the States a couple of years ago, there was a man on the street and offering people a, a 1 ounce gold bar or a Hershey's chocolate candy bar. And invariably they chose the Hershey's candy bar. What am I going to do with gold? I can't eat it.
Mental. They're not making any more of it. I think there's an element there of we've kind of outsourced knowledge, haven't we, with the internet? Like people,
I know. You don't need to read, just Google it.
yeah.
Let Google tell you what it says.
And with the rise of AI, we could be outsourcing thought itself, which is.
Yeah, it's converted a lot of people from being like tactile to being tactile. Doing lots of little things with your fingers.
Funny, isn't it? How like it's always convenience, which like evil comes to you through convenience. I think, doesn't it? Like, oh,
yeah,
just do it like this. Oh, isn't that easy?
But there's still like a base level of like effort or difficulty level that you have to like put in to get out certain stuff. Like if things break down enough, like if you want, your house to be warm, you have to go chop some wood and put it in your fireplace,
Yeah, I mean, I think that the AI thing isn't all that yet. I think it's going to be a bit like we've been promised robots and doing household chores for all of our lives, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I think it's closer than it ever has been, but it's a good whiles away yet. Yeah, I think the thing that's slowing them down with the self-driving cars is like the legality of these things. Like who would be liable in if there was an accident.
It's the same thing with the drone flying cars.
Did you say drone flying cars?
Yes, drone flying cars. Like they got like 4 propellers, but it's like the size of the car. You can carry like 1 to 2 people in them, and you can
it's
fly
a drone?
like it flies like a drone, and you can program it to fly to places. So you could like autopilot it, just like you can program a drone, but you can also manually fly it yourself. But it is kind of like those things where it's got all these like built-in fail safes, like the drones and stuff that would overtake if like the battery got too low. It would find a safe landing and override your manual, like they do with a lot of the drones. Unless it's just somebody used a drone buster, then you'd be kind of SOL.
Oh, I know. They could wrap the drone in bubble wrap. That would work.
Yeah.
Or put loads of springs on the exterior so it bounces.
I mean, or they could just, put those like electro discs that they use. Like there's like these certain, certain what is it? I think it's like ferromagnetic materials with a certain current, and you have them counter spinning against each other. Creates like a electromagnetic field that creates like levitation. And anyway, it's like an electrogravitic function. There's ways that you can do it with like a steel and copper, and then there's other ways, like mercury. They got like a whole bunch of different ways that you can, what they call electrogravitically levitate objects. But they're putting out everything where things are flying using fans, just to put in, technological perspective. Like that's what's, and they're put so many restrictions and all this debate about, self-driving cars and things that fly with fans.
It's not going to be very fun, though, is it? This dystopia that they're building.
No, they're trying to build like a controllable, like modern feudal society, pretty much with like a serf class.
I mean, best case scenario, it's going to be like Wally.
Yeah, Wally. Yeah, with all the garbage.
And I was thinking like the little robots doing all the chores, and we're just kept fat and sated on hover chairs.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think there's like a fine balance in that.
One thing that is quite encouraging when I speak to young people is that they've got like a massive sense of mistrust to all this AI stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that want to just like
turn it off,
culture and just just go just go full all natural, just like make a adobe house and dig a well and live off of within the means of your own hands and feet.
The kids are really into vinyl as well. They like want something like physical rather than ethereal, like
conceptual
files on a computer or data streamed. They want LPs.
Yeah, they don't want their assets in a non-tangible concept, that the physical assets are not within their grasp or control.
Because there's always that like little rebellious spirit, isn't there, amongst the next generation that doesn't want to do it like the parents do.
So, yeah, I'm definitely of that. Like, my dad's like a licensed architect, and my mom was like a property manager for years. Raised around like the middle class with a lot of like family friends that were like family. It's weird. I've kind of like lived in like both worlds. I don't know. To me, they kind of exist simultaneously. I don't see them like divided. It's almost kind of like big social clubs and families, like the blending of the two. You don't have to be part of the social club, but you could be like related to somebody, and then you like. I don't know. It's just like I knew Arnold Schwarzenegger when I was a kid, and a few different people in Hollywood.
You know Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, briefly. Like I met him a couple times.
Wow.
What color socks does he wear?
That I do not know.
So, boy, here is, and specialist, here is the perfect blend of future technology and old technology. The Horsefly Airlines, they've got, dozens of horses under the thing and to get it started. You laugh, you mock my pain.
I do think it's funny that they pretty much use.
What kind of horsepower does that thing have?
How many horses can you slip under there?
Well, I just think it's funny that they like hide the technology, in people's faces. So they're using like, kerosene thruster to spin an electric generator.
Oh, it says right here, each airplane will be outfitted with 120 able-bodied horses. During the holidays, each plane will have an additional horse at the front, equipped with a red nose.
Well, how else is it going to find its way around?
Yeah.
Fully organic. Natural fertilizing capability.
Yeah.
No carbon hoof print.
Yeah.
Carry on only. The cargo area is needed for stables. In-flight meals consist of carrots and apples.
Air Horse One.
Air Horse One, yeah, that's right.
Air Horse One. I do think it's a darn shame that they took those airships. You could have like microculture plots. You could have tons of, so much space on this thing.
Well, the Zeppelins.
It's like a flying city state.
Oh, Brother Bet, speaking of moralists are never at peace. Every time the moralist JG comes over here, I don't get that he's at peace. He's like browbeating and like a Karen, finger pointing, and we all have to walk on eggshells when he shows up.
Well, they always want to point at somebody worse than themselves, don't they?
That is a thing. Yes, I sinned, but I didn't commit those sins that guy over there committed. Oh, yeah.
You see it in like prisons as well with pedos. You know what I mean? Like how they are the lowest of the low. Yeah, maybe an armed robber and a murderer, but it's human nature.
Self-justification.
Yeah, doing things to attain peace, whereas just being at peace, not needing to do anything to attain. Well, that's one thing that I think is missing in the gospel is that it does not need our approval to be.
In reading Brother Knox's essay the other day, he had a couple of paragraphs devoted to the idea that Judas was created in the son of his love long before Judas was found in Adam. From Colossians 1:16. What can possibly go wrong? Let's ask JG.
Everything. Better be on your best behavior. I'm going to go and make a cup of tea. Excuse me.
Okay, I think I'll close up shop.
Oh, in that case,
Thanks, boys and
I'll
girls,
do
for
it.
stopping by. It's 40 minutes past the hour, almost noon here. We'll pick up again later this afternoon, I do believe. Thanks for stopping by, and I will put the after show link in case you want to hop in and spend some time with Specialist and Boy. Oops, that's not the right thing. Grace to you and peace from God our Father. Give me thumbs up and leave comments. Adios.